Two McLarens, two BMWs, and a Lamborghini make up just a few of the $2 million worth of assets seized from a 23-year-old from Whitby, Ontario. As his investors tried to recoup millions of dollars they handed over to the self-described crypto king. But so far, Pleterski's assets fall far short of what his investors claim they owed. Creditors are working to unravel where at least $35 million provided to Pleterski and his company AP Private Equity Limited for cryptocurrency and foreign exchange investment ended up, according to a fraud recovery lawyer, and documents filed in two separate actions reviewed by CBC Toronto. Diane Moore invested $60,000 she had embarked for her grandchildren's education after meeting Pleterski through someone she'd known for years. Wow, through a friend. Now she's out $50,000. The whole thing was based on trust, Moore said. What Aiden has done, I think, is awful, and I don't know how he can live with himself. You know, this is always late. It's always late to say stuff like that. The terms of Moore's investment included a 70-30 split on any capital gains, with 70% for her and 30% for Pleterski. A commitment the initial investment would be paid back in full if it was lost, and target capital gains of 10 to 20% bi-weekly, according to her investment contract. I don't know if he was ever really trading, Moore said, or was this his plan and it was just the story to get me in along with other people. The 65-year-old from Clarington, Ontario, is now one of 29 creditors claiming they are owed nearly $13 million in bankruptcy proceedings against Pleterski. In a lawsuit, another investor who claimed to be owed $4.5 million obtained a Mariva injunction, which effectively freezes Pleterski's assets and bank accounts worldwide. Roughly 140 investors who handed over a collective $20 million responded to a call out for information from a fraud recovery law firm investigating Pleterski, some of whom are involved in the bankruptcy proceedings or the bankruptcy process. It was a huge surprise. We have never had a response like this, said Norman Grout, founder of Investigation Council PC, which only represents alleged victims of fraud. Rented lakefront mansion for $45,000 a month. Wow. It says through a bankruptcy trustee's report, creditors' meeting minutes, court filings, and complaints made to Grout firm, a picture emerges of Pleterski's luxurious life before things fell apart. The young man, dubbed the Crypto King in several paid-for promotional articles, owned 11 vehicles, was leasing 4 other luxury cars, flew on private jets, and was paying $45,000 a month to rent a lakefront mansion in Burlington, Ontario, Canada. This guy has a large lifestyle burn rate, but it doesn't account for the amount of money that's missing, Grout told Ontario. Let us get into the video. Hello and welcome to another video from the Inspiration College. Now guys, in this video I'm going to cover the story I came across and the fact that my channel is all about exposing, unethical business practices, online businesses, people getting their money through ill-gotten gains and all of that. I think that this story is fitting for my channel, for my viewers, and you will learn something from it, and there's a strong message to be learned from this experience, so that you have to be aware of what you're getting into. And so we're just going to jump straight to it now. came across a story, and it has to do with this guy called Pleterski, and he was involved in cryptocurrency trading. He's a Canadian, of course. So taking money from investors and then not delivering on his promises and all of that. So he got himself into some serious problem. So we are going to learn a bit about him. So first of all, who is this guy? So Pleterski, he was born either in 1998 or 1999. And of course, I told you he's a Canadian cryptocurrency trader. And after facing bankruptcy hearing, he was abducted for 3 days in December 2022. That's just last year, before he was being assaulted. Now, let us learn a little about this guy. So, Pleterski managed an investment fund. But first of all, as I said to you, he was born in and around 1998, 1999. He's just 24 years old. And he lives in Whitby, Ontario. And before renting a mansion in Burlington, Ontario. And of course, he studied cybersecurity at a college called Fanshawe. So he managed this investment fund and purportedly invested clients' funds in cryptocurrencies and foreign exchange currency, referring to himself as the Crypto King. He operated AP Private Equity Limited. And of course, AP would mean Pleterski Private Equity Limited Incorporated. And that was established in December 2021. And used paid promotional websites to boost his brand. Pleterski invested only 1.6% of funds received from clients. Now, guys, you heard me say he used paid promotional websites to boost his brand. That sounds familiar. Paid promotional websites are those websites which would receive articles from these guys for a fee, and they would publish that article. So these guys actually, trying to brand themselves and to look credible and all of that. So that's exactly what this guy did. And, I cover videos of a particular group doing the very same thing, paying websites to promote them. And it says by 2020, Pleterski was being investigated for the loss of Canadian $35 million of clients' funds and had luxury vehicles and other assets seized by creditors acting on behalf of 29 clients. In September 2022, he failed to comply with rules imposed on him at a bankruptcy hearing launched by 119 creditors. Relinquishing his cell phone at the last minute enabled him to avoid arrest. Wow. He was interviewed about the bankruptcy on November 24, 2022, claiming he had lost 45 million Canadian dollars over the period of 1 month. I'm assuming that's Canadian dollars. On December 5, he was abducted at gunpoint before being assaulted and held for 3 days, with the abductors demanding a 3 million Canadian dollars ransom for his release. Five suspects were arrested in relation to the abduction in July 2023. Suspects included a 39-year-old who had invested Canadian $740,000 with Pleterski. In 2023, it was reported that Pleterski spent Canadian $16 million of investors' funds on himself. Wow. So this is what we are going to discuss, guys. So stay tuned. A Toronto investor who lost thousands to Ontario's self-proclaimed Crypto King is one of 5 men facing charges connected to the alleged kidnapping, forcible confinement, and assault of Pleterski last December, CBC Toronto has learned. CBC Toronto previously reported details of Pleterski's alleged kidnapping based on a report from ongoing bankruptcy proceedings against the 24-year-old. In the bankruptcy, investors have been working for nearly a year to try and track down more than $40 million given to Pleterski to invest in cryptocurrency and foreign exchange. Akil Haywood has been arrested for allegedly kidnapping Pleterski and for threatening the administrator overseeing the bankruptcy in an attempt to get $2 million in cryptocurrency, according to the court records. The same day CBC Toronto learned of those charges, CBC reporters receive a 12-minute edited video which shows a visibly beaten Pleterski explaining what he claimed happened.
I really am. I didn't want to or mean to ruin anybody's life.
CBC Toronto received this 12-minute edited video showing a beaten and bruised Aiden Pleterski, seemingly apologizing to investors and explaining what he claims happened to the millions they gave him. Pleterski says he lost $45 million in a single month.
When the money was coming in, I was failing to tell people that I'd lost a lot of it, which caused me to use more leverage in the crypto market, which caused me to lose more and more and more, because I was trying to recoup my losses, which was not the right thing to do at all.
The 24-year-old boasted about his lavish lifestyle and caught the eye of investors, who gave him tens of millions to invest in cryptocurrency and foreign exchange. But last year, things started to unravel, and now authorities are trying to track down millions that are unaccounted for through bankruptcy proceedings.
I honestly feel very, very humiliated. I feel embarrassed.
Toronto police won't comment on the video. Through his lawyer, Pleterski said it was taken when he was kidnapped in December. Pleterski's lawyer told CBC Toronto, neither he nor I have seen the complete video, so he can't really comment on it. All he can say is that while some of it is accurate, he was being forced to say a lot of it by his kidnappers. Kidnappers, allegedly 5 of them. CBC has learned they were charged earlier this month with dozens of offenses, including kidnapping with the intent to hold Pleterski for ransom last December.
Maybe 5 years, hopefully. We'll see, yeah.
Okay. One of those charged is Akil Haywood, seen here in a 2017 CBC interview about the Toronto Caribbean Carnival. The community volunteer and businessman is the founder of a nonprofit event organizer. Court records show Haywood lost more than $700,000 investing with Pleterski, and in another twist, he was appointed as an inspector in Pleterski's bankruptcy proceedings, a role that had him representing the investors trying to recoup their millions.
This was highly unusual.
Norman Groot is a lawyer hired by some of Pleterski's investors.
I've never seen a bankruptcy proceeding where an inspector is charged in a kidnapping and a forcible confinement related to recovering money in a bankruptcy. So Mr. Haywood would have been privy to the particulars of whatever investigation Grant Thornton was conducting. And the concern always is that, is that information going to be used for their own purpose outside of the bankruptcy proceedings.
Haywood is also charged with threatening an official from Grant Thornton who's overseeing the proceedings for $2 million in cryptocurrency. The accounting firm said Haywood resigned as an inspector. Grant Thornton said, "We've been cooperating with police and have maintained open lines of communication. We cannot comment any further as this is an active investigation." Haywood declined to do an interview and answer a list of questions, but he did tell us that he's innocent. 4 other men have also been charged in relation to the alleged kidnapping, including with assault and gun offenses. None of the allegations have been tested in court. Pleterski's lawyer said his client is grateful for police officers' work in apprehending those involved in his kidnapping and assault. In the video, he seems to concede some investor money went to his own personal expenses, but vowed to pay them all back.
I'm going to do it before I go and buy myself another car, before I go and buy myself another watch, before I go and buy myself expensive clothing or anything.
Angelina King, CBC News.
Pleterski's lawyer, Michael Samain, told CBC Toronto neither he nor his client have seen the complete video, so Pleterski can't really comment on it. All Pleterski can say is that while some of it is accurate, he was being forced to say a lot of it by his kidnappers, said Samain in an email. Aiden is grateful for the work of the Toronto police in apprehending those who involved in his kidnapping and assault. Haywood was arrested on July 5 and charged with kidnapping Pleterski against his will, kidnapping with intent to hold him for ransom, conspiring to kidnap, and confining Pleterski on or around December 5, 2022. He's since been released on bail. The 39-year-old is also charged with threatening Grant Thornton, bankruptcy trustee, Rob Stelzer, to induce him to pay $2 million in cryptocurrency later that month, and faces the same threat for money charge involving another man connected to the case. A bankruptcy trustee is a federally regulated professional responsible for investigating the finances of a person or business that has gone bankrupt and administering their estate. Haywood says he is innocent. Haywood declined an interview, request or to answer questions for his story, but told CBC Toronto he is innocent. Haywood was named one of the 5 inspectors elected by other investors in August 2022 to represent their interests in the bankruptcy proceedings. He and Atlantic Mass Foundation, a non-profit Haywood founded, invested $740,000 with Pleterski, according to court records. A court motion in the bankruptcy case states, major decision made by the trust must be approved by the inspectors, similar to the manner in which major decisions of management are approved by a board of directors. And the trustee provides inspectors and detail of all aspects of their strategy and activities. A new trustee report from bankruptcy proceedings shows Aiden Pleterski took in $41.5 million from investors, but only invested less than 2% of it, and instead spent nearly $16 million on himself. According to claims spelled out in a new trustee report from bankruptcy proceedings against Aiden Pleterski, while authorities were trying to track down millions of dollars given to him to invest, the 24-year-old was allegedly kidnapped in the middle of the night last December. The trustee believed much of it went to fuel a lavish lifestyle, and that very little of it was actually invested. Pleterski's father told the trustee Pleterski was driven around southern Ontario, beaten and tortured. Pleterski's landlord said he got a call asking for a ransom of $3 million. Pleterski was released after a few days. The document says, but was told he had to come up with the money soon. CBC Toronto contacted Pleterski's lawyer for comment on the latest allegations, but has not heard back. Lawyer Norman Groth has been hired by some investors to recover money from Pleterski through civil claims. He says the $41.5 million figure might just be the tip of the iceberg. Groth says that figures doesn't include the cash or cryptocurrency that Pleterski received or transferred out, adding actual losses could be nearly double the amount. Private jets, luxury cars, vacations. The trustee report revealed Pleterski took in $41.5 million from investors and told them he was investing it in cryptocurrency and foreign exchange. But the report says he invested less than 2% of it, just $670,000. And it says Pleterski spent 38%, or about $16 million of the money, on himself, renting private jets, going on vacations, and adding luxury cars to his collection. Needing some space to store all of it, the report says Pleterski used investor money to put down a $500,000 deposit to buy a warehouse in Ajax. It also says Pleterski spent over $1 million in investor money to live in Burlington Mansion, paying $45,000 per month in rent and putting down a deposit to buy it. The report adds Colin Murphy, an alleged associate of Pleterski, got $1.3 million out of the scheme. CBC Toronto reached out to Murphy's lawyer for comment but did not receive a response. Murphy previously told CBC Toronto he's innocent.
Why did you wipe your phone book? They needed what was on it?
I keep super sensitive stuff on there with my girlfriend, and it's funny because this Norman Groot guy, he's saying, oh, I'm hiding this information and blah, 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 blah. And he doesn't realize that I've been keeping stuff to give to somebody. I just didn't know if he was the right person to give it to.
He's released all the material documents.
I released all that stuff to him, but apparently I'm still, I'm some multi-millionaire.
I guess you could say greed took over. Meanwhile, growth characterizes Pleterski's operation as a Ponzi scheme. Pleterski, for his part, told the trustee that when cryptocurrency fell in the fall of 2021, he lost investments but tried to get people's money back. In doing so, I guess you could say greed took over, and I was taking very aggressive positions, and I was trying to make returns that obviously weren't feasible or weren't necessarily possible at the time, and it just caused more losses, he said. Investors have come forward trying to recoup $25 million, but bank records alleged Pleterski took in more than $41 million. In other words, there are other investors out there who lost $16 million and have seemingly kept quiet about how they plan to get their money back. Wow.
While authorities were trying to track down millions of dollars given to Aiden Pleterski to invest, the 24-year-old was allegedly kidnapped in the middle of the night last December. It's all spelled out in a new trustee report from bankruptcy proceedings against Pleterski. His dad told the trustee Pleterski was driven around southern Ontario, beaten and tortured. Pleterski's landlord said he got a call asking for ransom, $3 million. After a few days, Pleterski was released, but was told he had to come up with the money soon.
He blew another $13.5 million.
Lawyer Norman Groot has been hired by some investors to recover money from Pleterski civilly.
These large Ponzi schemes take a lot of time. There's a lot of interviews that would have to be conducted.
The trustee report reveals Pleterski took in $41.5 million from investors. He told them he was investing it in cryptocurrency and foreign exchange. But the report says he invested less than 2% of it, just $670,000. It says Pleterski spent 38%, or about $16 million of the money, on himself, renting private jets, going on vacations, and adding luxury cars to his collection. He needed a place to store them all somewhere, so he used investor money to put down a $500,000 deposit to buy this warehouse in Ajax, the report says. It also says Pleterski spent over $1 million of investor money to live in this Burlington mansion. He paid $45,000 a month in rent and put a deposit down to buy it. The report also says Colin Murphy, an alleged associate of Pleterski, got $1.3 million from the scheme. CBC reached out to his lawyer but didn't hear back. Murphy previously told us he's innocent.
Apparently I'm still, I'm some multi-millionaire.
A lot of money.
But Groot says that $41.5 million might just be the tip of the iceberg.
That number doesn't include the cash or cryptocurrency that Pleterski received or transferred out. So we've been told that the number very well may be more than double.
While Groot characterizes Pleterski's operation as a Ponzi scheme, Pleterski told the trustee when crypto fell in the fall of 2021, he lost investments but tried to get people's money back, but said, in doing so, I guess you could say greed took over, and I was taking very aggressive positions, and I was trying to make returns that obviously weren't feasible or weren't necessarily possible at the time, and it just caused more losses. Investors have publicly come forward trying to recoup $25 million, but bank records allege Pleterski took in $41 million. In other words, there's more investors out there who've lost $16 million and are seemingly keeping quiet about what efforts, if any, they're making to try and get their money back. We contacted Pleterski's lawyer, but didn't receive a response. Angelina King, CBC News.
No, guys, of course, Aiden Pleterski, he was not the only one acting with this scam, because of course it's a scam. As you can see, you have his associate, this guy called Colin Murphy, and as it says, money laundering expert called the investment operation a large scale Ponzi scheme. And it says that Colin Murphy, 26, this guy is just 26 years old, and you can see the car he's flashing here. This is why I kept telling you guys that you can't be jealous of what you see people, showing off with online. Because, a lot of times, especially these ages, I'm not really bashing anybody for the age, but, 26, 24 million years, you have to trace the money. Where is it coming from? So you have to do some reverse engineering and start to trace back from, just get some background on these people sometimes before you start to invest in what they are doing, because at the end, you are going to be the one losing out. So he says this guy, Colin Murphy, 26, is one of 5 so-called originators who raised money for Aiden Pleterski's investment operation, according to trustee reports from Pleterski's bankruptcy proceedings. So this guy quickly went and filed for bankruptcy, just in a bid to avoid, I would say, avoid paying back, investors, knowing fully well that his day was coming, and he wouldn't be able to have that money to pay them back. So he went and filed, bankruptcy. And of course we know exactly why he would want to do something like this. So he says an associate of Whitby, Ontario, self-described crypto king. He called himself crypto king. This guy has never studied anything about finance in school, yet he is a cryptocurrency king. Aiden Pleterski handed over more than $1 million in bank draft payable to Pleterski's last month in response to a civil search warrant. Colin Murphy, 26, is one of 5 so-called originators who raised money for the 24-year-old investment operation, according to trustee report from Pleterski's bankruptcy proceedings. A CBC Toronto investigation previously detailed how more than 140 creditors were trying to unravel where at least $35 million provided to Pleterski and his company AP Private Equity Limited for cryptocurrency and foreign exchange investment ended up. The bankruptcy proceeding against Pleterski supersedes all other claims against him, while that's currently the only avenue to recover funds and assets from Pleterski directly to investors who allege they are out a combined $270,000 Canadian dollars. They invested through Pleterski have started civil action against Murphy to try and recoup what they have lost. And guys, I'm just assuming that all of these monies are Canadian dollars. Could be US dollars, but I'm just assuming it's Canadian dollars, so don't quote me on that, but you can do your own research. Of course, I'm going to leave the links of all of what I'm sharing with you in the description of this video. So I'm assuming that this money is Canadian dollars. And it says so far, those civil efforts include obtaining freezing orders and Anton Pillar orders, civil search warrants, which allow fraud lawyer Norman Grote, that's Groot, Norman Grote, to search locations connected to Murphy without warning last month and seize evidence relevant to recovering his client's funds. The recovery includes $1 million in bank draft to Pleterski, data Murphy and to Pleterski, Data Murphy claimed come from Pleterski's iCloud account and Murphy's 2 cell phones. Murphy breached the court order to turn over one of his iPhones to us. And when he did turn it over, the data on the phone has been deleted, said Groth, founder of the fraud recovery firm Investigation Counsel PC. Data relevant to both the issues involving Mr. Murphy and the larger Pleterski issue were likely on this phone, and our concern is that there were cryptocurrency wallets or other assets on this phone as well. Murphy found in contempt of court. So on January 20, an Ontario Superior Court judge found Murphy in contempt of court in Oshawa for refusing to surrender his iPhone and for deleting data on it. In an interview outside the courthouse, Murphy said he deleted data because he keeps super sensitive stuff on the phone concerning his girlfriend. What a good excuse. What a way to try and get out of this hot water that he got himself in. I've been keeping stuff to give to somebody, said Murphy. I release all that stuff to Groth. But apparently I'm still some multi-F guy, you know what that is. I'm some multi-effing millionaire. Of course, you enrich yourself with, people's money. Guys, you know that this channel is not in support of wrongdoing, not in support of people who enrich themselves by ill-gotten means. I'm not in support of them. I don't celebrate them. And this is why I'm very careful who I celebrate when they come in online to say that they are successful. And one of the things that really turn me off is when you see them showing off flashy cars and homes and all of that. A lot of times when you see them doing this, especially the age at which they are, something, you have to dig deep because something is not really sounding right. Why do you need to be showing off flashy cars, nice houses? Why do you need to do that? Guys, if you remember this guy who they call Hush Puppy, this Nigerian guy, you remember he was doing the very same thing on Instagram, showing off his wealth and, nice clothes, expensive shoes, trainers, all of that. And this guy was even hitting out at people who are working hard for the money. And people were questioning how he was getting his money, and at one point he was saying that he's into real estate investment and all of that. And in the end, where is he now? In prison. I get to understand that at one point he was the best cleaner in prison. What is he doing now? He's not living that lavish lifestyle, guys. So isn't it better for you to just be contented with a 9-to-5 job until your blessing come? Why you need to defraud people to live the lavish lifestyle? It's only going to last for a while. So as we go further in this video, guys, you will see how this guy Pleterski was, what happened to him. And I'm not here because you always have the courts that can really give you justice. So I'm not here to support jungle justice and that kind of stuff. You go through the legal means to get results. But of course, people are different, and some people feel that the justice system is not going to help them that much. So they would take matters in their own hands, which I would not encourage. But this is a strong message for those who are thinking of getting involved with these scams. And those who are in it, learn from this, because you never know. This guy could actually lost his life, because he was beaten and all of that. He could have actually lost his life just for not being honest, just for taking other people's money and living a lavish lifestyle. So you have to be careful, guys, of what you are doing. You're doing stuff online, just take your time, no rush. This get rich quick mentality, you need to get rid of it, guys, and you see it happening. That's why I do videos like this. And you have the investors who, they work hard for the money and they don't know that, they're going to be scammed. Nobody wants to pay you $1 and be scammed of that $1. So people will get really angry and, take the frustration out on that person, not going any legal route. But, obviously I don't support that method where you're going to take matters in your own hands. But it's just a warning for these people going online saying that you are this, you are that, and into cryptocurrency, and you have to be careful. You're going to take people money, then you deal with things fairly, because I never know what can happen. So that was actually what happened. And it says, CBC Toronto reviewed hundreds of pages of court documents filed in pursuit of the civil search warrant against Murphy. Collectively, the records shed more light on the investment operation that a former RCMP officer with an expertise in money laundering and who has been working on the case characterized as a large-scale Ponzi scheme. The nature of this Ponzi scheme that Pleterski's, Murphy and their associates were involved in was to launder funds from sources that were not declared to the Canada Revenue Agency, or were the proceedings of crime, alleged Chris Matters, a private investigator and certified fraud examiner, in an affidavit. And it says Pleterski, Murphy, and or others are making use of cryptocurrency to launder the proceeds of fraud. The motion record in the case against Murphy also claimed that Pleterski was not conducting trades of any significance while reporting allegedly false investment returns to investors. Wow. And this guy is just 24. Look how he could use his knowledge to do something better for his country, for society, instead of, scamming people. And it says Aiden has clearly stated in the past that he denied that the investment he was involved in were anything but legitimate. They always say that. Pleterski's lawyer, Michael Siman, said in an email, his position on that has not changed. In a statement, Murphy's lawyer, that's Sukana Saha, told CBC Toronto his client denied all the allegations put forward by Grout client in the lawsuit. Of course, they would want to deny all of this. These people living, the luxurious lifestyle, and also these guys would also be showing off on people who are doing a 9-to-5 job. They always hitting out on 9-to-5 jobs. Oh, this is a scam. You're doing a job. That's a scam. Oh, you're exchanging your time for money. And look at it. What are they doing? Taking people's money and enriching themselves. And it went further to say Murphy drove Porsche. However you pronounce it. I pronounce it Porsche. Some people pronounce it differently. So Murphy drove Porsche and Lamborghini. And it says, according to the court record, Murphy has a red Porsche and a black Ford F-250 pickup truck registered in his name. He also drives a Lamborghini Huracan and Mercedes-Benz sedan, which are both registered to his grandfather. And it is so sickening sometimes. No, I'm just assuming. I'm not going to say his grandfather knew how he was getting his money. But if his grandfather knew how this guy was getting his money, it's so sickening sometimes when you have parents and grandparents, maybe because they are getting money from these guys, they would support them in what they're doing. I would never support my son in any wrongdoing. If he's getting his money through ill gain, then don't spend a penny on me. Don't buy any birthday present for me with any money that you gain in questionable circumstances. No, I don't need that money. You're going to earn money, you earn it in an honest way. So you notice he put one of his cars in registered both in his grandfather's name. Wow. So, hiding his ill-gotten gain. No, guys, you can't do that. You're going to be caught. And you could also lose your life. I mean, this guy Pleterski could lose his life. just for being dishonest. So it says Grout told CBC Toronto that Murphy purchased a Lamborghini, but it was registered in his grandfather's name for insurance purposes. Really, in de facto, to obtain a civil search warrant, it's also alleged Murphy has no known sources of legitimate income, despite having access to multiple vehicles and social media posts showing him on 2 trips to the United States in the last few months. Murphy's lawyer said it would be inappropriate to comment on specific questions posed by CBC Toronto concerning investments Murphy allegedly took in and where the funds for the luxury vehicles originated, because the matter is before the courts. Guys, you just have to follow the money. The other day I was actually watching a YouTube video where I'm not going to say which channel it is and I'm not going to say which country these guys are from that he was interviewing, and it's something similar to this, where they were showing luxury cars and homes, and they mentioned that they are into trading online, most likely cryptocurrency, and they invest their money in properties, rent the property, making passive income from the rent, and you can see they live in, and those guys are also in their 20s. I think he interviewed about 3 of them, but the common denominator with all of them is just to show off luxury cars. Oh, next time I'm going to buy this type of car, and these are our houses, and they were just, and to be honest, guys, I'm not saying that they got all of what they're showing through ill-gotten gains, because I don't know them, I don't know, but I'm just saying that for me, I'm not too quick to say I'm going to celebrate, because I was reading the comments and people were saying, oh, if they were doing things illegitimately, they wouldn't be showing their face. It's so silly when people are going to reason like that, because even under some of my videos, I would hear people saying, oh, why should I trust you? Why should I listen to you? You're not even showing your face. I didn't know that trust or you believe in somebody when you're watching a YouTube video. If the person is not showing his face, then he's not saying anything that is true. And if the person is showing his face, then he's doing everything by the books and he is honest. Look at these guys. They were showing their face. They have Instagram account where they're showing their face. Pleterski and this guy Murphy, they were showing their face. So you want to say that everything they were saying to you, it was true? Now you see what is happening to them. So where do you get this nonsense about, oh they are showing the face, so that mean what they are doing is legitimate? How could you reason like that? They can show the face and what they're doing is legitimate, as well as the opposite. They can hide the face and what they're doing is legitimate. And vice versa. So you can't use silly stuff like that to say, oh, he's showing his face, so he's doing everything correct. And you would have a lot of them come to my channel and, oh, why should I listen to you? Why should I believe you? You're not even showing your face. So where do you get that stupid reasoning from? So this is what these guys get themselves involved in. And, whatsoever they get, they deserve it, to be honest. Because you can't go taking people's money and do whatever you want. And it says digital forensic specialists are now analyzing the surrendered data, and the court will determine whether the $1 million in bank draft become part of Pleterski's estate in the bankruptcy proceedings against him, according to Grout. Going forward, the court has ordered Murphy to attend an examination under oath and to turn over a slew of financial information dating back to 2020, including bank records, credit card statements, cryptocurrency accounts, and all funds received and transferred from both investors and Pleterski. And it says this case still has a long way to go in order to preserve both the data and the assets. And the assets we're after. So the assets they're going after. So it's a lot of stuff to be learned from this, guys. That you can't take people's money and do whatever you feel like. And the funny thing about it is that a lot of these people they're not going to get back most of the money. A lot of it, These guys probably, hide away a lot of it before all of this bankruptcy thing. And these people are still going to be the ones in the red. I mean, and even if these guys go to prison, they're not going to spend much time. Look at even that hush puppy guy. I think he only got, I can't remember how many years he got. It's not much. They're not getting, they might lose a couple of millions. If they are clever enough, they would hide away a lot before, the law, get to them. So these guys would still get out of prison and still living the big life off other people's money. And of course, as you know, I don't support people doing stuff like that. So let us move on to the next section of the video. Now guys, my final take on this whole issue, because this is an interesting story. My final take on it is that you just have to be careful. I mean, everybody would really want financial freedom, and you would want to live a good life. But it's painstaking when you would see someone come to you and offering you that good life, and you hand over your money, and then in the end they are living the good life and you are in debt. And we have seen that happening over and over. And I've dedicated this channel to do stories like these and expose people like these, because for me, I've been involved with quite a number of online business opportunities in the past, and none of them work out. I was just losing money, and it get to the point where I just got fed up and say, I'm going to run a YouTube channel and I'm going to put the information out there. So you would have a lot of people who are following these people who are promising them, get rich quick lifestyle, and they are falling for it. And normally when you put information out, people would get at you as the person providing the information, and they would want to defend these dodgy people who are doing stuff like that. And in the end, they come crying and saying, oh, we have lost this, we have lost that. But were you actually listening? If someone was warning you about these guys, were you listening? So you see these guys, they just take people's money and live in the lavish lifestyle. And the painful part of it is that even if they are brought to justice, it's light. They just find them a small portion of what they have taken from you. And we see that happening over and over and over. I covered this story about unpassive, and they are now before the courts and all of that. We'll see how that one turn out. But you have this going on and on and on, with these online businesses, and that is the reason why I don't get myself involved with any of them anymore. Because to be honest, even with the good ones, you have the bad apples, really taking a toll on the good ones who want to do things the right way. So it's so you have to be skeptical of everything online now, business opportunities online, because it's like it gets to the stage where you don't know who is going to scam you from who is genuine. And you can't look at the period of time that someone has a company running, or you might say, oh, this is going on for how many years, and so it doesn't matter. It's only because you're not having a lot of times people don't come out and say stuff. But this guy was really taking a whole lot of money, thousands of dollars from people. And these guys, I'm always thinking, because 24-year-old, 23-year-old, 26-year-old, these guys are still kids. And going on Instagram, putting up pictures of your flashy cars, and especially when you know fully well within yourself that you're not getting that money in an honest way. Why would you want to go and flaunt all of that? You're drawing attention to yourself. So you all the time, they use social media to to expose themselves. So guys, that's just my take on it. I hope you learned something from this, and this is a lesson, that for you as the person who is going to invest, that you need to do your research. And for those who are thinking of going into crafty stuff like this, it's not really worth it. I mean, you might enjoy life for a while, but then you're going to now be exposed, you're going to be embarrassed, you're going to lose a lot of the stuff that you that you have cars taken away from you, houses taken away from you. I mean, it's not worth it. And who would even want to trust you going forward? Because you have already let yourself down. Your credibility is at stake. Your reputation is at stake. Nobody would trust you again. So it's not worth it. Do things honestly. If you have to settle for a 9 to 5 job, don't try to live above your means, because you know it's not going to work out. In the end, you know, you are going to be exposed. That's all I really have to say about this video. So guys, if you like this content, then you would give the video a like, you will share it. You will also subscribe to the Inspiration College YouTube channel. And thanks for watching. Catch you in another video.